300 is a 2006 American epic historical action film 4-5 directed by Zack Snyder, who co-wrote the screenplay with Kurt Johnstad and Michael B. Gordon. It is based on the 1998 Dark Horse comic book limited series of the same name by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley. The film, like its source material, is a fictionalized retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae in the Greco-Persian Wars. The plot revolves around King Leonidas, Gerard Butler, who leads 300 Spartans into battle against the Persian god King Xerxes, Rodrigo Santoro, and his invading army of more than 300,000 soldiers. As the battle rages, Queen Gorgo, Lena Headey, attempts to rally support in Sparta for her husband. The film also features Michael Fassbender in his film debut. The story is framed by a voice-over narrative by the Spartan soldier Dilios, David Wenham. As an unreliable narrator, Dilios introduces various historical inaccuracies and other fantastical elements, placing 300 within the genre of historical fantasy. 300 was filmed mostly with a superimposition chroma key technique to replicate the imagery of the original comics. An unfinished cut of 300 premiered at the Austin Butnumathon on December 9, 2006. The completed film then premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival on February 14, 2007, before being released in both conventional and IMAX screens in the United States on March 9, and on home media on July 31. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, who praised its visuals and style, but received criticism from historians, who criticized its historical inaccuracies, most notably its depiction of the Persians, which some characterized as Persophobic. Grossing over $468.8 million, the film's opening was the 24th largest in box office history at the time, and became the 10th highest grossing film of 2007. The film earned a leading 10 nominations at the 34th Saturn Awards, winning 2 for Best Action, Adventure, or Thriller Film and Best Director, for Snyder. A sequel, titled Rise of an Empire, based on Miller's previously unpublished graphic novel prequel Xerxes, was released on March 7, 2014. Plot: Dilios, a hoplite in the Spartan army, narrates the story of a Spartan king named Leonidas I from childhood to kingship through the Spartan child-rearing system and the Battle of Thermopylae. A Persian herald arrives at Sparta one day, urging Leonidas to present an offering of earth and water as a token of submission to King Xerxes. Leonidas and the Spartan soldiers decline, throwing the herald, who insulted Queen Gorgo, and his envoy into a bottomless pit. Visiting the Epirus, Leonidas proposes driving back the Persians through Thermopylae by funneling them into a narrow pass, giving the Greeks' heavy infantry the advantage over the numerically superior Persian light infantry. The Epirus warn Leonidas that Sparta should not wage war during the upcoming Carneia and consult the oracle, who corroborates their advice. As Leonidas angrily departs, an agent from Xerxes appears alongside a Spartan politician, Theron, rewarding the Epirus for their covert support. Having been denied permission to mobilize Sparta's army, Leonidas gathers 300 soldiers, with many of them leaving behind sons to carry on their name. Theron and the council confront Leonidas and his men about defying the Epirus. Leonidas denies going to war, yet they depart for the Hot Gates shortly afterwards. Joined by a few thousand Arcadians and their leader Daxos along with other Greeks, they reach Thermopylae, watching a storm sinking many Persian navy ships at the Aegean Sea. The Spartans then scout out a large Persian encampment and construct a wall using the bodies of slain Persian scouts. Meanwhile, Leonidas encounters Ephialtes, a deformed Spartan whose parents fled Sparta to spare him certain infanticide. Ephialtes warns him of a secret goat path the Persians could use to outflank and surround the Spartans. Looking to redeem his family name, Ephialtes requests he join Leonidas's army. Although sympathetic, Leonidas rejects him since his deformity could compromise the phalanx formation. The battle begins soon after the Spartans' refusal to lay down their weapons. Using the narrowed pathway, the Spartans repel many waves of the advancing Persian army, suffering no casualties. Xerxes personally approaches Leonidas and offers him immense wealth and power if he surrenders. Leonidas declines, mocking the inferior quality of Xerxes' warriors. Xerxes sends in his elite guard, the Immortals, accompanied by the monstrous Uber-Immortal, but the Greeks once again triumph, suffering only a few Spartan casualties. On the second day, Xerxes unsuccessfully dispatches new waves of armies against the Spartans, including war elephants, bombardiers, and an armored rhinoceros. Meanwhile, an embittered Ephialtes, having defected to Xerxes, reveals the secret path in exchange for wealth, women, and a uniform. During the fight, Leonidas' loyal captain and friend Artemis suffers a personal tragedy when his eldest son Astynos is decapitated, compelling him to break formation and kill a group of Persians in a vengeful rage. The Arcadians retreat upon learning of Ephialtes' betrayal, but the Spartans choose to stay. Leonidas orders an injured but reluctant Dilios to return to Sparta and inform his compatriots of what has happened. Queen Gorgo approaches Theron for help, having been permitted to make her plea to the Spartan council to reinforce the 300 Spartan soldiers making their last stand, but Theron rapes her in exchange for his needed assistance, and the following day, he betrays her and attempts to defame her as an adulteress before the council. Enraged, Gorgo kills Theron, revealing a bag of Xerxes' gold in his robe. Acknowledging his betrayal, the council unanimously agrees to send reinforcements. On the third day, the Persians, led by Ephialtes, traverse the secret path, encircling the Spartans. Xerxes' general again demands their surrender, but the Spartans refuse, and a young Spartan soldier named Stelios kills the general. Angered, Xerxes orders his troops to attack. Leonidas throws his spear at Xerxes, slicing his face to prove the god king's mortality. Leonidas and the remaining Spartans fight to the last man until they finally succumb to an arrow barrage. Inspired by Leonidas' sacrifice and Dilios' testimony before the Spartan council, the Greeks mobilize an army, with Dilios heading the Spartan-led charge. After delivering a rousing emotional speech honoring King Leonidas and the 300 who sacrificed their lives a year prior, Dilios leads the Greeks into the Battle of Plataea against the Persians. Cast. The film stars Gerard Butler, Lena Headey, David Wenham, and Dominic West. Gerard Butler as Leonidas, King of Sparta. David Wenham as Dilios, narrator and Spartan soldier. Lena Headey as Queen Gorgo, Queen of Sparta. Giovanni Cimino as Pleistarchus, son of Leonidas and Gorgo. Dominic West as Theron, a fictional corrupt Spartan politician. Vincent Reagan as Captain Artemis, Leonidas' loyal captain and friend. Tom Wisdom as Astynos, Captain Artemis's eldest son. Andrew Pleavin as Daxos, an Arcadian leader who joins forces with Leonidas. Andrew Tiernan as Ephialtes, a deformed Spartan outcast and traitor. Rodrigo Santoro as King Xerxes, the powerful and ruthless godlike king of Persia. Stephen McHattie as the Loyalist, a loyal Spartan politician. Michael Fassbender as Stelios, a young, spirited and highly skilled Spartan soldier. Peter Mensa as a Persian messenger who gets kicked into the well by Leonidas. Kelly Craig as Pythia, an oracle to the Epirus. Eli Snyder as young Leonidas, 7/8 years old. Tyler Neitzel as young Leonidas, 15 years old. Robert Maillet as Uber Immortal, giant, a muscular and deranged immortal who battles Leonidas during the immortal fight. Patrick Sabangi as the Persian general who tries to convince Leonidas to comply at the end of the battle. Leon Ladrach as executioner, a hulking, clawed man who executes Xerxes' own men. Tyrone Benskin as the whip-wielding Persian emissary. Production. Development. Above, the film version compared to the 1998 comic, below. Producer Johnny Nunnery was not the only person planning a film about the Battle of Thermopylae, as director Michael Mann had already planned a film of the battle based on the book Gates of Fire. Nunnery discovered Frank Miller's graphic novel 300, which impressed him enough to acquire the film rights. 67300 was jointly produced by Nunnery and Mark Canton while Michael B. Gordon wrote the script. 8. Director Zack Snyder was hired in June 2004 as he had attempted to make a film based on Miller's novel before making his debut with the remake of Dawn of the Dead. 10. Snyder then had screenwriter Kurt Johnstad rewrite Gordon's script for production. 9. And Frank Miller was retained as consultant and executive producer. 11. Frank Miller's original graphic novel 300 was inspired by the film The 300 Spartans, which Miller first saw at age 6. 12. The film is a shot-for-shot adaptation of the comic book, similar to the 2005 film adaptation of Sin City. 13. Snyder photocopied panels from the comic book, from which he planned the preceding and succeeding shots. It was a fun process for me, to have a frame as a goal to get to, he said. 14. Like the comic book, the adaptation also used the character Dilios as a narrator. Snyder used this narrative technique to show the audience that the surreal Frank Miller world of 300 was told from a subjective perspective. By using Dilios' gift of storytelling, he was able to introduce fantasy elements into the film, explaining that Dilios is a guy who knows how not to wreck a good story with truth. 15. Snyder also added the subplot in which Queen Gorgo attempts to rally support for Leonidas. 16. Above, a scene during filming. Below, the finished scene. 2 months of pre-production were required to create hundreds of shields, spears, and swords, some of which were recycled from Troy and Alexander. Creatures were designed by George Shell. 17. And an animatronic wolf and 13 animatronic horses were created. The actors trained alongside the stuntmen, and even Snyder joined in. Upwards of 600 costumes were created for the film, as well as extensive prosthetics for various characters and the corpses of Persian soldiers. Sean Smith and Mark Rappaport worked hand in hand with Snyder in pre-production to design the look of the individual characters, and to produce the prosthetic makeup effects, props, weapons, and dummy bodies required for the production. 18. Filming. 300 entered active production on October 17, 2005. In Montreal. 19. And was shot over the course of 60 days. 18. In chronological order. 16. With a budget of $60 million. 20. Employing the digital backlit technique, Snyder shot at the now-defunct Eisturm Studios in Montreal using blue screens. Gerard Butler said that while he did not feel constrained by Snyder's direction, fidelity to the comic imposed certain limitations on his performance. David Wenham said there were times when Snyder wanted to precisely capture iconic moments from the comic book, and other times when he gave actors freedom to explore within the world and the confines that had been set. 21. Lena Headey said of her experience with the blue screens, "It's very odd, and emotionally, there's nothing to connect to apart from another actor." 22. Only one scene, in which horses travel across the countryside, was shot outdoors. 23. The film was an intensely physical production, and Butler pulled an arm tendon and developed foot drop. 24. Post-production. Post-production was handled by Montreal's Meteor Studios, and hybrid technologies filled in the blue screen footage with more than 1,500 visual effects shots. Visual effects supervisor Chris Watts and production designer Jim Bissell created a process dubbed the Crush, 18, which allowed the Meteor artists to manipulate the colors by increasing the contrast of light and dark. Certain sequences were desaturated and tinted to establish different moods. Ghislaine Saint-Pierre, who led the team of artists, described the effect, "Everything looks realistic, but it has a kind of a gritty illustrative feel." 1825. Various computer programs, including Maya, RenderMan, and RealFlow, were used to create the spraying blood. 26. The post-production lasted for a year and was handled by a total of 10 special effects companies. 27. Music. Main article, 300 Original Motion Picture Soundtrack. In July 2005, composer Tyler Bates began work on the film, describing the score as having beautiful themes on the top and large choir, but tempered with some extreme heaviness. The composer had scored for a test scene that the director wanted to show to Warner Brothers to illustrate the path of the project. Bates said that the score had a lot of weight and intensity in the low end of the percussion that Snyder found agreeable to the film. 28. The score was recorded at Abbey Road Studios and features the vocals of Azam Ali. 29. A standard edition and a special edition of the soundtrack containing 25 tracks was released on March 6, 2007, with the special edition containing a 16-page booklet and 3 two-sided trading cards. 30. The score has caused some controversy in the film composer community, garnering criticism for its striking similarity to several other recent soundtracks, including James Horner and Gabriel Yared's work for the film Troy. The heaviest borrowings are said to be from Elliot Goldenthal's 1999 score for Titus. Remember Us, from 300, is identical in parts to the finale from Titus, and Returns a King is similar to the Q Victorious Titus. 31, 32, 33. On August 3, 2007, Warner Brothers Pictures acknowledged in an official statement. A number of the music cues for the score of 300 were, without our knowledge or participation, derived from music composed by Academy Award-winning composer Elliot Goldenthal for the motion picture Titus. Warner Brothers Pictures has great respect for Elliot, our longtime collaborator, and is pleased to have amicably resolved this matter. 34. Marketing. See also, 300, March to Glory. The official 300 website was launched by Warner Brothers in December 2005. The conceptual art and Zack Snyder's production blog were the initial attractions of the site. 35. Later, the website added video journals describing production details, including comic-to-screen shots and the creatures of 300. In January 2007, the studio launched a MySpace page for the film. 36. The Art Institutes created a microsite to promote the film. 37. At San Diego Comic-Con in July 2006, the 300 panel aired a promotional teaser trailer of the film, which was positively received. 38. Despite stringent security, the trailer was subsequently leaked on the internet. 39. Warner Brothers released the official trailer for 300 on October 4, 2006. 40. And later on it made its debut on Apple.com, where it received considerable exposure. The background music used in the trailers was Just Like You Imagined by 9 Inch Nails. A second 300 trailer, which was attached to Apocalypto, was released in theaters on December 8, 2006. 41. And online the day before. 42. On January 22, 2007, an exclusive trailer for the film was broadcast during primetime television. 43. The trailers have been credited with igniting interest in the film and contributing to its box office success. 44. In April 2006, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment announced its intention to make a PlayStation portable game, 300, March to Glory, based on the film. Collision Studios worked with Warner Brothers to capture the style of the film in the video game, which was released simultaneously with the film in the United States. 45. The National Entertainment Collectibles Association produced a series of action figures based on the film. 46. As well as replicas of weapons and armor. 47. Warner Brothers promoted 300 by sponsoring the Ultimate Fighting Championship's light heavyweight champion Chuck Liddell, who made personal appearances and participated in other promotional activities. 48. The studio also joined with the National Hockey League to produce a 30-second TV spot promoting the film in tandem with the Stanley Cup playoffs. 49. Release. Theatrical. Actress Lena Headey facing right in a silver dress at the London premiere of the film in March 2007. Lena Headey at the London premiere, 2007. In August 2006, Warner Brothers announced 300's release date as March 16, 2007. 50. But in October the release was moved forward to March 9, 2007. 40. An unfinished cut of 300 was shown at Buttnamathon Film Festival on December 9, 2006. 51. Home media. 300 was released on DVD, Blu-ray disc, and HD DVD on July 31, 2007, in Region 1 territories, in both single-disc and two-disc editions. 300 was released in single-disc and steel case two-disc editions on DVD, BD, and HD DVD in Region 2 territories beginning August 2007. On July 21, 2009, Warner Bros. Released a new Blu-ray disc entitled 300, The Complete Experience to coincide with the Blu-ray disc release of Watchmen. This new Blu-ray disc is encased in a 40-page DG book and includes all the extras from the original release as well as some new ones. These features include a picture-in-picture feature entitled The Complete 300, a comprehensive immersion, which enables the viewer to view the film in 3 different perspectives. This release also includes a digital copy. 52 An Ultra HD Blu-ray edition of the film was released on October 6, 2020. 53. On July 9, 2007, American cable channel TNT bought the rights to broadcast the film from Warner Bros. 54 TNT started airing the film in September 2009. Sources say that the network paid between $17.55 and just under $20.54 for the broadcasting rights. TNT agreed to a 3-year deal instead of the more typical 5-year deal. 55. Reception. Box office. 300 was released in North America on March 9, 2007, in both conventional and IMAX theaters. 56 It grossed $28,106,731 on its opening day and ended its North American opening weekend with $70,885,301.57, breaking the record held by Ice Age, The Meltdown, for the biggest opening weekend in the month of March and for a spring release. Since then 300's spring release record was broken by Fast and Furious, and 300's March record was broken by Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. 58-59 300's opening weekend gross is the 24th highest in box office history, coming slightly below The Lost World, Jurassic Park, but higher than Transformers. 60 It was the 3rd biggest opening for an R-rated film ever, behind The Matrix Reloaded, $91.8 million, and The Passion of the Christ, $83.8 million. 61 The film also set a record for IMAX cinemas with a $3.6 million opening weekend. 62 The film grossed $468,879,361 worldwide. 300 opened 2 days earlier, on March 7, 2007, in Sparta, and across Greece on March 8. 63-64 studio executives were surprised by the showing, which was twice what they had expected. 65 They credited the film's stylized violence, the strong female role of Queen Gorgo, which attracted a large number of women, and a MySpace advertising blitz. 66 Producer Mark Canton said, "MySpace had an enormous impact, but it has transcended the limitations of the internet or the graphic novel. Once you make a great movie, word can spread very quickly." 66. Critical response. The film received a standing ovation at its world premiere in front of 1,700 audience members at the Berlin International Film Festival on February 14, 2007. 67 It had been panned at a press screening hours earlier, where many attendees left during the showing and those who remained booed at the end. 68. As of July 2024, on Rotten Tomatoes, the film had an approval rating of 61% based on 238 reviews, with an average rating of 6.10/10. The site's critical consensus reads, "A simple-minded but visually exciting experience, full of blood, violence, and ready-made movie quotes." 69. As of October 2020, on Metacritic, the film had a weighted average score of 52 out of 100, based on 42 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. 70 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale. 71. Some of the most unfavorable reviews came from major American newspapers. A.O. Scott of the New York Times described 300 as about as violent as Apocalypto and twice as stupid, and he also criticized its color scheme and suggested that its plot includes racist undertones. Scott also poked fun at the buff bodies of the actors who portrayed the Spartans, declaring that the Persian characters are pioneers in the art of face piercing, and declaring that the actors who played the Spartans had access to superior health clubs and electrolysis facilities. 72 Kenneth Turan wrote in the Los Angeles Times that unless you love violence as much as a Spartan, Quentin Tarantino, or a video game playing teenage boy, you will not be endlessly fascinated. 73 Roger Ebert gave the film a 2 out of 4 rating, writing that 300 has one-dimensional caricatures who talk like professional wrestlers plugging their next feud. 74 Some critics employed at Greek newspapers have been particularly critical, such as film critic Robbie Exiel, who said that moviegoers would be dazzled by the digital action but also feel irritated by the pompous interpretations and one-dimensional characters. 74-75 Variety's Todd McCarthy described the film as visually arresting although bombastic. 76 While Kirk Honeycutt, writing in The Hollywood Reporter, praised the beauty of its topography, colors, and forms. 77 Writing in the Chicago Sun-Times, Richard Roeper acclaimed 300 as the Citizen Kane of cinematic graphic novels. 78 Empire gave the film 3 out of 5, writing, visually stunning, thoroughly belligerent, and as shallow as a pygmy's paddling pool. This is a whole heap of style tinged with just a smidgen of substance. Comic book resources Mark Cronin found the film compelling, leaving him with a feeling of power, from having been witness to something grand. 79 IGN's Todd Gilchrist acclaimed Zack Snyder as a cinematic visionary and a possible redeemer of modern movie making. 80 Accolades. At the 2007 MTV Movie Awards, 300 was nominated for Best Movie, Best Performance for Gerard Butler, Best Breakthrough Performance for Lena Headey, Best Villain for Rodrigo Santoro, and Best Fight for Leonidas battling the uber-immortal 81 but only won the award for Best Fight. 300 won both the Best Dramatic Film and Best Action Film honors in the 2006 to 2007 Golden Icon Awards presented by Travolta Family Entertainment. 82 In December 2007, 300 won IGN's Movie of the Year 2007. 83 along with Best Comic Book Adaptation. 84 and King Leonidas as Favorite Character. 85 The movie received 10 nominations for the 2008 Saturn Awards, winning the awards for Best Director and Best Action/Adventure/Thriller Film. 86 In 2009, National Review magazine ranked 300 number 5 on its 25 Best Conservative Movies of the Last 25 Years list. 87. Historical accuracy. In the actual Battle of Thermopylae, the Spartans had already joined an alliance with other Greek police against the Persians. During the Battle of Thermopylae, Xerxes' invasion of Greece coincided with a Spartan religious festival, the Carneia, in which the Spartans were not permitted to make war. Still, realizing the threat of the Persians and not wanting to appear as Persian sympathizers, the Spartan government, rather than Leonidas alone, decided to send Leonidas with his personal 300-strong bodyguard to Thermopylae. 88 other Greek police joined the 300 Spartan men and totaled somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 total Greek troops. The historical consensus among both ancient chroniclers and current scholars was that Thermopylae was a clear Greek defeat, and the Persian invasion would be pushed back only in later ground and naval battles. 89. The films depicts the Battle of Thermopylae as the 300 Spartans fighting the Persian army. The films depicts the Battle of Thermopylae as the 300 Spartans fighting the Persian army. Since few records on the actual martial arts used by the Spartans survive aside from accounts of formations and tactics, the fight choreography, led by the stunt coordinator and fight choreographer Damon Caro, was a synthesis of different weapon arts with Filipino martial arts as the base. 90. Paul Cartledge, professor of Greek history at Cambridge University, advised the filmmakers on the pronunciation of Greek names and said that they made good use of his published work on Sparta. He praised the film for its portrayal of the Spartans' heroic code and of the key role played by women in backing up, indeed reinforcing, the male martial code of heroic honor, but he expressed reservations about its West, goodies, vs East, baddies, polarization. 91 Cartledge wrote that he enjoyed the film but found Leonidas' description of the Athenians as boy lovers ironic since the Spartans themselves incorporated institutional pederasty into their educational system. 92. Ephraim Lytle, assistant professor of Hellenistic history at the University of Toronto, said that 300 selectively idealized Spartan society in a problematic and disturbing fashion and portrayed the 100 nations of the Persians as monsters and non-Spartan Greeks as weak. He suggested that the film's moral universe would have seemed as bizarre to ancient Greeks as it does to modern historians. 93 Lytle also commented, Ephialtes, who betrays the Greeks, is likewise changed from a local Malayan of sound body into a Spartan outcast, a grotesquely disfigured troll who by Spartan custom should have been left exposed as an infant to die. Leonidas points out that his hunched back means Ephialtes cannot lift his shield high enough to fight in the phalanx. This is a transparent defense of Spartan eugenics, and convenient given that infanticide could as easily have been precipitated by an ill-omened birthmark. 93. Victor Davis Hanson, a National Review columnist and former professor of classical history at California State University, Fresno, wrote the foreword to a 2007 reissue of the graphic novel and said that the film demonstrates a specific affinity with the original material of Herodotus in that it captures the martial ethos of ancient Sparta and represents Thermopylae as a clash of civilizations. He remarked that Simonides, Aeschylus, and Herodotus viewed Thermopylae as a battle against Eastern centralism and collective serfdom, which opposed the idea of the free citizen of an autonomous polis. 94 He also said that the film portrays the battle in a surreal manner and that the intent was to entertain and shock first, and instruct second. 95. Turajderyi, who is now Baskerville Professor of Iranian History and the Persian World at the University of California, Irvine, criticized the film's use of classical sources by writing. Some passages from the classical authors Aeschylus, Diodorus, Herodotus, and Plutarch are spilt over the movie to give it an authentic flavor. Aeschylus becomes a major source when the battle with the monstrous human herd of the Persians is narrated in the film. Diodorus' statement about Greek valor to preserve their liberty is inserted in the film, but his mention of Persian valor is omitted. Herodotus' fanciful numbers are used to populate the Persian army, and Plutarch's discussion of Greek women, specifically Spartan women, is inserted wrongly in the dialogue between the misogynist Persian ambassador and the Spartan king. Classical sources are certainly used, but exactly in all the wrong places, or quite naively. The Athenians were fighting a sea battle during this. 96. Robert McHenry, the former editor-in-chief of Encyclopaedia Britannica and the author of How to Know, said that the film is an almost ineffably silly movie. Stills from the film could easily be used to promote buns of steel, or of master, or thighmaster. It's about the romanticizing of the Spartan ideal, a process that began even in ancient times, was promoted by the Romans, and has survived over time while less and less resembling the actual historical Sparta. 97. Snyder stated in an MTV interview that the events are 90% accurate. It's just in the visualization that it's crazy. I've shown this movie to world-class historians who have said it's amazing. They can't believe it's as accurate as it is. Nevertheless, he also said the film is an opera, not a documentary. That's what I say when people say it's historically inaccurate. 98. He was also quoted in a BBC News story as saying that the film is, at its core, a fantasy film. He also describes the film's narrator, Dilios, as a guy who knows how not to wreck a good story with truth. 15. In an interview, Miller stated, "The inaccuracies, almost all of them, are intentional. I took those chest plates and leather skirts off of them for a reason. I wanted these guys to move and I wanted them to look good. I knocked their helmets off a fair amount, partly so you can recognize who the characters are. Spartans, in full regalia, were almost indistinguishable except at a very close angle. Another liberty I took was, they all had plumes, but I only gave a plume to Leonidas, to make him stand out and identify him as a king. I was looking for more an evocation than a history lesson. The best result I can hope for is that if the movie excites someone, they'll go explore the histories themselves. Because the histories are endlessly fascinating. 99. Kaveh Farouk, in the paper The 300 Movie, Separating Fact from Fiction, 100 noted that the film falsely portrayed the Greco-Persian Wars in binary terms, the democratic, good, rational us versus the tyrannical, evil, and irrational, other of the ever nebulous, if not exotic, Persia. He highlighted 3 points regarding the contribution of the Achaemenid Empire to the creation of democracy and human rights. The founder of the Achaemenid Empire, Cyrus the Great, was the world's first emperor to openly declare and guarantee the sanctity of human rights and individual freedom. Cyrus was a follower of the teachings of Zoroaster, the founder of one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions. When Cyrus defeated King Nabonidus of Babylon, he officially declared the freedom of the Jews from their Babylonian captivity. This was the first time in history that a world power had guaranteed the survival of the Jewish people, religion, customs, and culture. He abolished slavery. 101. General criticism. Before the release of 300, Warner Brothers expressed concerns about the political aspects of the film's theme. Snyder relates that there was a huge sensitivity about East versus West with the studio. 102. Media speculation about a possible parallel between the Greco-Persian conflict and current events began in an interview with Snyder that was conducted before the Berlin Film Festival. 103. The interviewer remarked that everyone is sure to be translating this film into contemporary politics. Snyder replied that he was aware that people would read the film through the lens of current events, but no parallels the film and the modern world were intended. 104. Outside current political parallels, some critics have raised more general questions about the film's ideological orientation. Slate's Dana Stevens compared the film to The Eternal Jew, 1940, as a textbook example of how race-baiting fantasy and nationalist myth can serve as an incitement to total war. Since it's a product of the post-ideological, post-Xbox 21st century, 300 will instead be talked about as a technical achievement, the next blip on the increasingly blurry line between movies and video games. 105. Roger Moore, a critic for the Orlando Sentinel, relates 300 to Susan Sontag's definition of fascist art. 106. Indeed, the lambda sign on the Spartans' shields in 300 formed the inspiration for the official symbol of the far-right identitarian movement. 107. 108. Newsday critic Gene Seymour, on the other hand, stated that such reactions are misguided, writing that the movie's just too darn silly to withstand any ideological theorizing. 109. Snyder himself dismissed ideological readings, suggesting that reviewers who critique a graphic novel movie about a bunch of guys stomping the snot out of each other using words like neocon, homophobic, homoerotic or racist are missing the point. 110. Snyder, however, also admitted to fashioning an effeminate villain specifically to make young straight males in the audience uncomfortable. What's more scary to a 20-year-old boy than a giant god king who wants to have his way with you? 111. The Slovenian critic Slava Zizek pointed out that the story represents a poor, small country, Greece, invaded by the army of a much larger state, Persia, and suggested the identification of the Spartans with a modern superpower to be flawed. 112. The writer Frank Miller said, the Spartans were a paradoxical people. They were the biggest slave owners in Greece. But at the same time, Spartan women had an unusual level of rights. It's a paradox that they were a bunch of people who in many ways were fascist, but they were the bulwark against the fall of democracy. The closest comparison you can draw in terms of our own military today is to think of the red-caped Spartans as being like our special ops forces. They're these almost superhuman characters with a tremendous warrior ethic, who were unquestionably the best fighters in Greece. I didn't want to render Sparta in overly accurate terms, because ultimately I do want you to root for the Spartans. I couldn't show them being quite as cruel as they were. I made them as cruel as I thought a modern audience could stand. 99. Michael M. Kemmers, author of With Your Shield, or On It, Disability Representation in 300 in the Disability Studies Quarterly, said that the film's portrayal of the hunchback and his story is not mere ableism, this is anti-disability. 113. Frank Miller, commenting on areas in which he lessened the Spartan cruelty for narrative purposes, said, I have King Leonidas very gently tell Ephialtes, the hunchback, that they can't use him as a soldier, because of his deformity. It would be much more classically Spartan if Leonidas laughed and kicked him off the cliff. 99. Iranian criticism. The portrayal of King Xerxes, right, was a subject of criticism. Snyder said of Xerxes, what's more scary to a 20-year-old boy than a giant god king who wants to have his way with you? 111. From its opening, 300 also attracted controversy over its portrayal of Persians. Officials of the Iranian government 114 denounced the film. 115, 116, 117 Some scenes in the film portray demon-like and other fictional creatures as part of the Persian army, and the fictionalized portrayal of Persian King Xerxes I has been criticized as effeminate. 118, 119 Critics suggested that it was meant to stand in stark contrast to the portrayed masculinity of the Spartan army. 120 Stephen Aurier argued that the film's Persians were a vehicle for an anachronistic cross-section of Western aspirational stereotypes of Asian and African cultures. 121. The film's portrayal of ancient Persians caused a particularly strong reaction in Iran. Various Iranian officials condemned the film. 122, 123, 124 The Iranian Academy of the Arts submitted a formal complaint against the film to UNESCO that called it an attack on the historical identity of Iran. 125, 126 The Iranian mission to the United Nations protested the film in a press release. 127 and Iranian embassies protested its screening in France. 128 Thailand, 129 Turkey, 130 and Uzbekistan. 131 The film was banned in Iran, with it being considered American propaganda. 132 Reviewers in the United States and elsewhere noted the political overtones of the West against Iran's storyline and the way Persians are depicted as decadent, sexually flamboyant, and evil in contrast to the noble Greeks. 133 With black market copies of the film already available in Tehran with the film's international release and news of the film's surprising success at the US box office, the film prompted widespread anger in Iran. As Ade Movani of Time reported, all of Tehran was outraged. Everywhere I went yesterday, the talk vibrated with indignation over the film. 134. Newspapers in Iran featured headlines such as Hollywood declares war on Iranians and 300 against 70 million, the latter being the size of Iran's population. I and No, an independent Iranian newspaper, said, the film depicts Iranians as demons, without culture, feeling, or humanity, who think of nothing except attacking other nations and killing people. 134. Four members of Majlis, the Iranian parliament, called on other Muslim countries to ban the film. 135 and a group of Iranian filmmakers submitted a letter of protest to UNESCO regarding the film's misrepresentation of Iranian history and culture. 136 The cultural advisor to Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad called the film an American attempt for psychological warfare against Iran. 137. Movani identified two factors that may have contributed to the intensity of Iranian indignation over the film. Firstly, she described the timing of the film's release, on the eve of Nowruz, the Persian New Year, as inauspicious. Secondly, Iranians tend to view the era depicted in the film as a particularly noble page in their history. Movini suggested that 300's box office success compared with Alexander's failure, another spurious period epic dealing with Persians, was cause for considerable alarm, signaling ominous U.S. intentions. 134. According to The Guardian, Iranian critics of 300, ranging from bloggers to government officials, described the movie as a calculated attempt to demonize Iran at a time of intensifying U.S. pressure over the country's nuclear program. 135. An Iranian government spokesman described the film as hostile behavior which is the result of cultural and psychological warfare. 135. Movini reported that the Iranians with whom she interacted were adamant that the movie was secretly funded by the U.S. government to prepare Americans for going to war against Iran. 134. In popular culture, an example of the "This is Sparta" meme spawned from one of the movie's scenes. 300 has been spoofed in film, television, and other media, with the scene of Leonidas kicking the Persian herald into a pit in particular spawning the "This is Sparta" internet meme during the late 2000s. 138, 139, 140, 141, 142 skits based upon the film have appeared on Saturday Night Live. 143 and Robot Chicken, the latter of which mimicked the visual style of 300 in a parody set during the American Revolutionary War, titled 1776. 144 other parodies include an episode of South Park named D Yikes, 145. The short film United 300, which won the 2007 MTV Movie Spoof Award. 146 and Boo! By Mad Magazine in its September 2007 issue number 481, written by Desmond Devlin and illustrated by Mort Drucker. 147. 20th Century Fox released Meet the Spartans, a spoof directed by Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. Universal Pictures once planned a similar parody, titled National Lampoon's 301, The Legend of Awesomest Maximus Wallace Leonidas. 148. 300, particularly its pithy quotations, has been adopted by the student body of Michigan State University, whose nickname is the Spartans, with chants of "Spartans, what is your profession?" becoming common at sporting events starting after the film's release, and Michigan State basketball head coach Tom Izzo dressed as Leonidas at one student event. 149. 150. Nate Ebner, a football player with the New England Patriots in the National Football League and formerly with the Ohio State Buckeyes, was nicknamed Leonidas, because of his intense workout regimen, and his beard. 151. Sequel. Main article, 300, Rise of an Empire. In June 2008, producers Mark Canton, Johnny Nunnery, and Bernie Goldman revealed that work had begun on a sequel to 300, Rise of an Empire. 152. Legendary Pictures had announced that Frank Miller had started writing the follow-up graphic novel and that Zack Snyder was interested in directing the adaptation but moved on to develop and direct the Superman reboot and DC Extended Universe first installment Man of Steel. 153. 154. Noam Murrow directed instead, while Zack Snyder produced. The film focused on the Athenian admiral, Themistocles, as portrayed by Australian actor Sullivan Stapleton. The sequel, 300, Rise of an Empire, was released on March 7, 2014, and achieved box office success with $337 million grossed worldwide from a budget of $110 million, despite receiving mixed reviews. Gerard James Butler, born November 13, 1969, is a Scottish actor and film producer. After studying law, he turned to acting in the mid-1990s with small roles in productions such as Mrs. Brown, 1997, the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997, and Tale of the Mummy, 1998. In 2000, he starred as Count Dracula in the gothic horror film Dracula 2000. He played Attila the Hun in the miniseries Attila, 2001, then appeared in the films Reign of Fire, 2002, and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, 2003, before starring in the science fiction film Timeline, 2003. He played Eric, the Phantom in Joel Schumacher's 2004 musical The Phantom of the Opera. Butler gained wider recognition for his portrayal of King Leonidas in Zack Snyder's fantasy war film 300, 2006. In 2010, he began lending his voice to the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. Also in the 2010s, he portrayed a Secret Service agent in the action thriller Has Fallen film series 1, played military leader Tullus Aufidius in the 2011 film Coriolanus, and Sam Childers in the 2011 action biopic Machine Gun Preacher. Butler had further action film roles in Geostorm, 2017, Den of Thieves, 2018, Greenland, 2020, and Plane, 2023. Early life. Gerard James Butler II was born in Paisley, Scotland on November 13, 1969, the youngest of 3 children of Margaret and Edward Butler, a bookmaker. 456 His family, which is Catholic, is of Irish descent. 7-8 His family moved to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, when he was 6 months old. 9-10 A year later, when his parents' marriage broke down, his mother left Montreal and returned to Scotland with Butler. 11. Butler was head boy at St. Mirren's and St. Margaret's High School in Paisley and won a place at University of Glasgow School of Law. 12-13 He also attended Scottish Youth Theatre while a teenager. He did not see his father again until he was 16, when Edward Butler called to meet him at a Glasgow restaurant. After the meeting, Butler cried for hours, and recalled later, "That emotion showed me how much pain can sit in this body of yours, pain and sorrow that you don't know you have until it is unleashed." 11. As a student, he was the president of the University Law Society 14, a position he later said he kind of blagged my way into. 3. When Butler was 22, his father was diagnosed with cancer and died. He said of this period in his life, "I had gone from a 16-year-old who couldn't wait to grasp life to a 22-year-old who didn't care if he died in his sleep." 15. Before his final year of law school, Butler took a year off to live in California, mostly in Venice Beach, where he held different jobs, traveled often, and, he says, drank heavily. At one point he was arrested for alcohol-related disorderly conduct. Describing his behavior during that year, he recalled, "I was out of control, and justifying it with this idea that I'm young, this is life. This is me just being boisterous." After his time off in America, he returned to Scotland to finish his final year at law school. 3. He had ear surgery as a child that left him with a mangled ear. He still suffers from tinnitus and has hearing loss in his right ear. 16. Career. Legal career and early acting career. Upon graduation, he took a position as a trainee lawyer at an Edinburgh law firm. However, he continued to stay out late drinking and frequently missed work. 1 week before he qualified as a lawyer, he was fired. At the age of 25, and an unqualified lawyer, he moved to London to pursue his dream of becoming famous. He admitted, "When I started out, I'm not sure I was actually in it for the right reasons. I wanted very much to be famous." 11. Initially unable to win any acting roles, he worked in a variety of jobs including as a waiter, a telemarketer, and a toy demonstrator at fairs. In London, he met an old friend from his teenage days in the Scottish Youth Theatre, who was now a London casting director. At that time, he was her boyfriend and her assistant. She took him to an audition for Steven Berkoff's play of Coriolanus. 14. The director said of Butler's audition, when he read, "He had such vigor and enthusiasm, so much that it made the other actors seem limp, that I decided to cast him in the ensemble." 15. Then aged 27, Butler had his first professional acting job. Less than a year later, he won a part in a theatre adaptation of Trainspotting at the Edinburgh Festival. At age 30, he decided to move to Los Angeles, where he won parts in Dracula 2000, Tomb Raider 2, Dear Frankie and Phantom of the Opera. 15. Acting career. Butler at the 2011 Berlin Film Festival. In London, Butler had various odd jobs until being cast by actor and director Steven Berkoff, who later appeared alongside him in Attila, 2001, in a stage production of Coriolanus. He was cast as Ewan McGregor's character Renton in the stage adaptation of Trainspotting, the same play that had inspired him to become an actor. 17. His film debut was as Billy Connolly's character's younger brother in Mrs. Brown, 1997. 18. His film career continued with small roles, first in the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997, 17, and then Russell Mulcahy's Tale of the Mummy, 1998. In 2000, Butler was cast in 2 breakthrough roles, the first being Attila the Hun in the American TV miniseries Attila, 2001. The film's producers wanted a known actor to play the part but eventually chose Butler. 19. He was cast as Dracula in Dracula 2000. 20. He then appeared in Reign of Fire, 2002, 21 as Creedy and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, 2003, as Terry Sheridan, alongside Angelina Jolie. In the role of Andre Merrick in the big screen adaptation of Michael Crichton's novel Timeline, 2003, 22, Butler played an archaeologist who was sent back in time with a team of students to rescue a colleague. In 2003, director Joel Schumacher was deciding on the principal casting for the film The Phantom of the Opera, a film adaptation of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical of the same name, and thought of Butler, whom he had seen earlier in the film Dracula 2000, to play the title character. Butler, who had had no musical experience other than singing in a rock band while he was studying to be a lawyer, was surprised at the interest, but immediately began taking singing lessons with a vocal coach. 23. He then did an acting audition with Schumacher, and a singing audition with Lloyd Webber, both of whom were impressed by his performance. 24. The film, and Butler's performance, received mixed reviews, though Butler was nominated for a Satellite Award for Best Actor. Citation needed. Other projects that followed include Dear Frankie, 2005, The Game of Their Lives, 2005, and Beowulf and Grendel, 2005. 25. In 2006, he starred as Spartan King Leonidas in the Warner Brothers production 300, which is often described as his breakthrough role. 26. Butler, who said he wanted to look really strong in the film, trained with a high-intensity workout for 4 months prior to the film's shooting. 27. In 2007, he appeared in Butterfly on a Will co-starring Pierce Brosnan and Maria Bello, which aired on network TV under the title Shattered 28, and in the romantic comedy P.S. I Love You with Hilary Swank. 29. In 2008, he appeared in Nims Island and Rock'n'Rolla. In 2009, he starred in the Neveldine/Taylor film Gamer, The Ugly Truth 30 and Law-Abiding Citizen, which he also co-produced. 31. In 2010 he starred in the action/comedy The Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston. 32. And did voice acting for the 2010 animated film How to Train Your Dragon as Stoic the Vest. 33. Butler in 2013. On 15 and October 16, 2010, thanks to the popularity of his role as Spartan King Leonidas and the use of his lines during athletic events at Michigan State University, he was a guest at their Midnight Madness and Homecoming American football game. 34. As of August 2011, Butler, while filming Playing for Keeps, was writing songs and in the process of recording an album. 35. He disavowed gossip reports that Marilyn Manson and Johnny Depp had advised him on the project. 36. On December 18 that year, while filming Chasing Mavericks, Butler was hospitalized after he was pulled under big waves. Subsequently, he was taken to Stanford University Medical Center and later released. 37. Butler starred as Secret Service agent Mike Banning in the action thriller Olympus Has Fallen, 2013, opposite co-stars Aaron Eckhart and Morgan Freeman. He said he broke 2 bones in his neck while shooting the film, but did not realize this until he had an MRI scan. 38 Butler reprised his voice role as Stoic in How to Train Your Dragon 2 in 2014. 2 years later, he reprised his role as Mike Banning in the Olympus Has Fallen sequel London Has Fallen, and also portrayed set in Gods of Egypt. Late in 2018, Butler starred as Submarine Captain Commander Joe Glass of the USS Arkansas, a Virginia-class nuclear submarine, in the film Hunter Killer. He starred as Mike Banning again in the 2019 film Angel Has Fallen and returned as the voice of Stoic in How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, which was released the same year. After release delays due to COVID-19, Butler starred in Greenland in 2020. In January 2024, Butler was announced to reprise his role as Stoic in the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon, which was released in 2025. 39. He has been a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in the Actors Branch since 2011. 40-41. Personal life. Since October 2011, Butler has divided his time between Los Angeles and Glasgow. 42. In 2011, he was rushed to the Stanford University Medical Center after suffering a surfing incident in Mavericks, California, during the filming of Chasing Mavericks. 43. He was stable and released from the hospital later that week. 44. Butler stated in an interview that he no longer drinks alcohol. 45. In February 2012, it was announced that he had completed a course of treatment for substance abuse of painkillers at a rehabilitation facility. 46. He was concerned he had become too reliant on prescribed pain medication, which escalated after his surfing accident. 46. In 2011, Butler played in a charity match for Celtic FC, a football club he has supported since childhood. 42. A year later he represented Celtic in a Hollywood film, starring as a has-been player in Playing for Keeps. 47. He is also a supporter of Scotland Rugby and has even been involved with promotional videos for the side, including for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. 48. In August 2013, he bought an equity stake in the Jamaica Talawas cricket team, part of the Limassol Caribbean Premier League, CPL. 49. He has supported the charity Mary's Meals since 2010. 50. He visited the International Development Charities Program in Liberia in 2014. 51. In 2018, he attended a fundraiser gala organized by Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, which raised $60 million. 52. In November 2018, Butler's home was destroyed in the Woolsey fire in California. David Wenham AM is an Australian actor who has appeared in film, television, and theatre. He is known for his roles as Faramir in the Lord of the Rings film trilogy, Friar Carl in Van Helsing and Van Helsing, The London Assignment, Dilios in 300 and its sequel 300, Rise of an Empire, Al Parker in Top of the Lake, Lieutenant John Scarfield in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and Hank Snow in Elvis. He is known in his native Australia for his role as Diver Dan in Sea Change and Price Gales in Lay Norton. Early life. Wenham has 5 older sisters: Helen, Anne, Carmel, Catherine, and Marie, and 1 older brother, Peter. He was raised in the Roman Catholic faith and attended Christian Brothers High School, Lewisham, Sydney. 1-2. Career. Wenham started his career as an actor after graduating from Theatre Nepean at Western Sydney University with a Bachelor of Arts, Performing Arts, in 1987. 3. Wenham's television credits include several films, such as his AFI award-winning role in 1997 Simone de Beauvoir's Babies, and his role as the outwardly laid-back but deeply enigmatic diver Dan Della Bosca in the 1998 and 1999 seasons of the ABC television series Sea Change. His role as Diver Dan has made the actor something of a sex symbol, although he dislikes thinking of himself as such, and he has been voted Australia's sexiest man alive. 5. A Portrait of Wenham by artist Adam Cullen won the Archibald Prize in 2000. 6. 7. Wenham appeared in 1999 for the Sydney Theatre Company's production of Yasmin Arez's play Art. 8. Australian films Wenham has starred in include The Boys, 1998, based on the play of the same name premiered in 1991 with Wenham by Griffin Theatre Company and in turn based on the murder of Anita Cobby, Molokai, 1999, based on the life of Father Damien, The Bank, 2001, Gettin Square, 2003, Stiff, 2004, The Brush Off, 2004, and $3, 2005. Wenham has periodically appeared in Hollywood films. He is known for playing Faramir, son of Dean Thor II, in New Line Cinema's The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Wenham at the premiere of Oranges and Sunshine in 2011. He was seen in Van Helsing playing Hugh Jackman's sidekick, Friar Carl. His character, Dilios, narrated and appeared in the 2007 film 300. He reprises his role of Dilios in both the 2014 sequel 300, Rise of an Empire and the video game 300, March to Glory for Sony PlayStation Portable, which contains a substantial amount of new dialogue. Minor roles of Wenham's in overseas films include in The Crocodile Hunter as a park ranger, and briefly in Moulin Rouge as Audrey. Wenham stars in the music video for Alex Lloyd's single Brand New Day. In 2008's Australia, he reunited with Hugh Jackman playing antagonist Neil Fletcher. In 2009, he appeared in Public Enemies as one of John Dilling's men. He also returned to the stage, this time as the lead actor, Jerry Springer, in the British musical Jerry Springer, the opera. During its 6-day run at the Sydney Opera House he played in sold-out performances alongside ARIA award-winning singer Kate Miller-Hick. 9. Wenham at the premiere of The Turning in 2014. In 2010, he played the character Lynn in the Australian drama film Oranges and Sunshine. Also in 2010, Wenham starred as the disgraced Melbourne lawyer Andrew Fraser in the Australian television series Killing Time. This 10-part series shows Fraser's fall from grace as he defends many Melbourne criminals during the 1980s and 1990s. It was shown on TV1 in late 2011. On stage, Wenham appeared in Benedict Andrews' production of The Seagull for Belvoir. 8. Wenham plays New Zealand detective Al Parker 10 alongside Elizabeth Moss in the 2013 BBC series Top of the Lake. In 2013, Wenham returned to the stage to play the lead role of John Proctor in the Melbourne Theatre Company's mid-year production of Arthur Miller's The Crucible. Wenham in 2015. In 2014, Wenham starred as Patrick Jones in Paper Planes, released on January 15, 2015. That same year, Wenham voiced the role Jacko a frilled neck lizard, in Blinky Bill the movie. In 2016, Wenham played the role of John, the adoptive father of Saru Brearley in Lion. Wenham played the role of the villain Harold Meacham in the Netflix original television series Iron Fist, which premiered in March 2017. 11. In 2018, Wenham played the voice of Johnny Townmouse in Peter Rabbit, a role he reprised in the 2021 sequel Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. In 2020, it was announced that Wenham was cast as Jasper Keller in the upcoming Netflix thriller series Pieces of Her, which is adapted from the Karen Slaughter novel of the same name. 12. In 2022, Wenham returned to work with director Baz Luhrmann, playing the role of country singer Hank Snow in the biographical film Elvis. Wenham and his longtime partner, actress Kate Agnew, at the 2012 ACTA Awards. In November 2022, Wenham played Scrooge in a production of A Christmas Carol at the Comedy Theatre, Melbourne. His performance was praised for showing Scrooge as traumatized. 13. In October 2025, Wenham was named in the cast for the feature film Zack Power. 14. In 2026, he performed the one-person play An Iliad for the Sydney Theatre Company. 8. He was appointed a member of the Order of Australia in the 2023 Australia Day Honours. 15. Personal life. Wenham met actress and yoga teacher Kate Agnew at a play at Belvoir St Theatre in Sydney, Australia, in 1994. 16. They began a relationship that year. 17. They have 2 daughters. 18. As of 2020, they live together in a $2.75 million house in Brisbane, Australia. 19. On September 20, 2006, Wenham read a poem called The Crocodiles Are Crying by Rupert McCall at the memorial service for Steve Irwin. Lena Catherine Headey, /Lynn Headey /Leanne Headey, born October 3, 1973, is a British actress. She gained international recognition and acclaim for her portrayal of Cersei Lannister on the HBO fantasy drama series Game of Thrones, 2011 to 2019, for which she received 5 Emmy Award nominations and a Golden Globe Award nomination. She was nominated for a Saturn Award for her portrayal of Gorgo, Queen of Sparta, in 300, 2006. Headey made her film debut in the mystery drama Waterland, 1992, and appeared in the British television play, The Clothes in the Wardrobe, U.S., The Summer House, 1993. She continued to work steadily in British and American films and on television, before gaining further recognition with her lead performances in the films The Brothers Grimm, 2005, and 300, 2006. Her other film credits include The Remains of the Day, 1993, The Jungle Book, 1994, Mrs. Dalloway, 1997, Ripley's Game, 2002, Imagine Me and You, 2005, Dread, 2012, The Purge, 2013, 300, Rise of an Empire, 2014, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, 2016, and Fighting with My Family, 2019. Headey starred as Sarah Connor in the science fiction television series Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, 2008 to 2009, and had recurring roles as Big Mama in the animated series Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2018 to 2020, and as Amelia Hughes in the animated web series Infinity Train, 2019 to 2021. She provided voices for the role-playing video game Risen, 2009, and the video game tie-in film Kingsglaive, Final Fantasy XV, 2016, as well as the animated series Danger Mouse, 2015 to 2017, and Tales of Arcadia, 2017 to 2018, 2020, and the puppet series The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, 2019. Early life. Headey was born the daughter of Susan, née Brown, and John Headey. 2-3 Her father, a police officer from Yorkshire, was stationed in Hamilton at the time in the Bermuda Police Service. 4-5 Headey has one younger brother named Tim. 6 When she was 5, her family returned to England, initially settling in Somerset. 6 She took ballet lessons as a child. 7 She had her first acting experience when as a pupil at Shelley College. She was noticed at age 17, when performing in a school production at the Royal National Theatre, and was picked for a role in the 1992 film Waterland. 8. Career. Beginnings, 1992 to 2004. At age 17, Headey performed in a one-off show and afterwards a casting agent took her photo and asked her to audition. Casting director Susie Figgis then cast her in a supporting role in the drama Waterland, 1992, 9/10 in which she had the opportunity to work with more experienced actors. This was followed by a major role in The Clothes in the Wardrobe, 1993, again with several acclaimed actors, including Julie Walters, Jean Moreau, and Joan Plowright. She also had a small role in the critically acclaimed 1993 drama film The Remains of the Day, which received 8 Academy Awards nominations. She appeared in Series 3 of BBC One drama Spender, starring Jimmy Nail, as a teenage tearaway and hit ITV show Soldier Soldier with Robson Green and Jerome Flynn. Her career continued to grow in England through the decade, and she got larger parts in bigger motion pictures. In 1996, she was featured as Colette in Kay Mellor's Band of Gold TV series, before starring in Kavanaugh QC, 1997, as Natasha Jackson. Citation needed. Headey played Kitty Britton, the childhood friend and romantic interest of Mowgli, in Disney's The Jungle Book, 1994. Citation needed. James Berardinelli praised the cast's solid performances 11 as part of a positive critical reception, and the film found moderate commercial success in theaters. 12 She appeared opposite Vanessa Redgrave in the 1997 romantic drama Mrs. Dalloway, portraying the closest friend of a housewife, who is now wife of a self-made millionaire and mother of 5. 13 She was then cast in the drama Onegin, 1999, a film based on the 19th century Russian novel Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin, in which she portrayed the fiancée of an aspiring poet and appeared with Ralph Fiennes and Liv Tyler. 14 The film was critically and financially unsuccessful. 15 In 2000, Headey played a newly promoted lawyer with no apparent emotional attachments in the romantic comedy Aberdeen. Citation needed. Receiving the Silver Iris Award for Best Actress at the 2001 Brussels European Film Festival, and also starred as a troubled college student in the psychological drama Gossip, with Kate Hudson. Citation needed. In 2001's comedy The Parole Officer. Citation needed. Headey took on the role of a police officer, alongside Steve Coogan in his first film role. While the film was warmly received, View London remarked, "The only disappointment is Lena Headey, who, despite being fantastically sexy, she's given both a nude scene and a dressed as a prostitute scene, smirks her way through the entire film, even at the most inappropriate moments." 16. In 2002, she appeared as a mouse, a Victorian lesbian artist with Gwyneth Paltrow and Aaron Eckhart in the mystery drama Possession. Citation needed. Based on the 1990 novel of the same name by British author A. Esbiet, and as the wife of a law-abiding art framer dying of leukemia in the thriller Ripley's Game, adapted from the 1974 novel of the same name. In its review for the latter, i4Film noted, "Whilst this is very much a male-centered film, Lena Headey turns in a powerful performance as Jonathan's wife, creating a sense of balance and normality against which other events are contrasted." 17 Headey excellent portrayal of Ava Wigram in The Gathering Storm, 2002 film, BBC, HBO co-produced television biographical film about Winston Churchill in the years just prior to World War II. Headey appeared in the comedy The Actors, 2003, opposite Dylan Moran and Michael Caine, portraying the love interest of a struggling actor. 18 She is credited as voice actor for the character Callista in the video game Dishonored. 19 Rise to prominence, 2005 to 2010. Headey found much wider recognition when she starred with Matt Damon and Heath Ledger in Terry Gilliam's adventure fantasy film The Brothers Grimm, 2005, 20 as Angelica, whose woodsman father was transformed into a werewolf by the evil queen. She was drawn to the character's tomboy nature, about which she said, "She lives and grows up and survives in the forest." Terry and I talked about how her instincts are almost animalistic and she can see 360 degrees around her. She is aware of what is going on. That is how she is grounded. She is of the earth. 21 The Brothers Grimm received mixed reviews and made $105.3 million worldwide. 22-23. In 2005, Headey also starred with actress Piper Perabo in the films The Cave. Citation needed and Imagine Me and You. Citation needed. The horror film The Cave had the actress play a member of a group of divers who become trapped in an underwater cave network. While critical response was negative, 24 the film made a profit at the box office. 25 In the romantic dramedy Imagine Me and You, she took on the role of a woman who falls in love at first sight with a newlywed bride who reciprocates her feelings. The newlywed struggles with whether to remain in a passionless marriage to a sweet husband, or pursue her electric connection to Headey's character Luce. The film, which Common Sense Media called charming, quirky and witty. 26 found a limited release in theaters, but Miklas Al from the San Francisco Chronicle stated that the actress has a forthright, irresistible appeal and a face and especially a smile that suggest intelligence, integrity, and lots of fun. 27. Headey at the 2007 Scream Awards. Perhaps Headey's most known film role came in 2007, when she played Queen Gorgo in Zack Snyder's epic war film 300 citation needed based on the 1998 comic series of the same name by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley, a fictionalized retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae within the Persian Wars. Her character has a much larger role in the film than in the comic book, where she appears only in the beginning. 28 and required Headey to film a nude scene. It's always weird, the thought of taking your clothes off in front of 20 people, and then to have it projected in front of many more, she said in an interview. I think it was necessary because we only get that scene to establish their relationship. It is a very obvious moment, but I think it does it in quite a beautiful way. 29. The film received mixed reviews, but was a box office success, grossing over $450 million. 30 in 2007, she also appeared as the stuffy Miss Dickinson in the 6th release of the St. Trinian's film series. Citation needed. Headey starred as Sarah Connor in Fox's Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Citation needed. A television spin-off of James Cameron's popular Terminator franchise. The show ran for 31 episodes in 2 seasons, from January 2008 to April 2009. Variety praised Headey's gritty performance as Sarah, managing to be smart, resourceful, and tough, yet melancholy and vulnerable as well. 31 For her performance, she was nominated twice for the Saturn Award for Best Actress on Television. In 2008, she starred alongside Matthias Schweihofer and Joseph Fiennes in The Red Baron, a biographical film of the legendary World War I fighter pilot Manfred von Richthofen. 32-33 appeared in Ridley Scott-produced sci-fi drama Telltale, a film based on the short story by Edgar Allan Poe. 34 and played a radiologist in the horror film The Broken, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. 35 While the 3 aforementioned films went largely unnoticed by audiences, some critics praised Headey's performance in The Broken, including Kim Coyner, of Cinematical, who wrote that Headey largely carries the film, and does so quite ably. 36. In 2009, Headey played an ill-fated character in the slasher film Laid to Rest, which received a DVD release. 37-38 had a part in a short film titled The Devil's Wedding, and also provided her voice for an episode of the Cartoon Network series The Superhero Squad show. Citation needed. Playing Black Widow and Mystique. She briefly appeared in the independent comedy Pete Smalls is Dead, 2010. Citation needed. Mainstream success, 2011, present. Beginning in April 2011, Headey portrayed Queen Regent Cersei Lannister on the HBO series Game of Thrones, based on George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series of novels. 39 She was cast in the role after her friend and eventual co-star, Peter Dinklage, suggested her casting to producers. 40 Her performance as the Ruthless Queen has received critical acclaim. 41 42 43 earning a Scream Award nomination for Best Fantasy Actress for the role in 2011. 44 and Primetime Emmy Award nominations for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018 and 2019. 45 46 47. Headey in 2017. After guest starring in the White Collar episode Taking Account in 2011, Headey took on the role of the leader of a drug-dealing gang and the primary villain in the 3D sci-fi action film Dread, 2012, alongside Karl Urban and Olivia Thirlby. 48 49 50 Her performance was inspired by punk rock singer Patti Smith, and on the character, Headey asserted, "I think of Mama like an old great white shark who is just waiting for someone bigger and stronger to show up and kill her. She's ready for it. In fact, she can't wait for it to happen. She's an addict, so she's dead in that way, but that last knock just hasn't come." Despite a positive critical response, the film flopped at the box office. Seeing greater success following its home release, it has since been recognized as a cult film. Citation needed. Headey joined again with Ethan Hawke to star in The Purge, 2013, a micro-budget horror film, in which she took on the role of the matriarch of a family who find themselves endangered by a gang of murderers during the annual Purge, a night during which all crime, even murder, is temporarily legal. The film was at the #1 position in the United States, grossing over $36 million over the weekend. 51 It eventually made $89.3 million worldwide. 52 She next played shadow hunter Jocelyn Frey/Jocelyn Fairchild in The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, also 2013, based on the first book of the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, and opposite Lily Collins and Jamie Campbell Bower. The film flopped at the box office, and as a result, plans for sequels were eventually cancelled. 53. Following the success of 300, Headey reprised her role as Queen Gorgo in 300, Rise of an Empire, which was released in 2014. Like the first film, it received mixed reviews, but was a major commercial success, grossing over $337 million worldwide. 54 In 2014, she also starred in the fantasy adventure film The Adventurer, The Curse of the Midas Box. 55 And the biographical film Low Down, which detailed the life of jazz pianist Joe Albany. In 2015, she played the wife of a federal prosecutor running for office who cannot stop himself from sleeping with high-class escorts in the political thriller Zipper, opposite Patrick Wilson. Citation needed. In the historical action comedy Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Headey appeared as Lady Catherine de Bourgh, with her former Game of Thrones, Century, and The Contractor co-star Charles Dance. Andrew Barker, of Variety, found her to be excessively diverting in what he considered a tolerable, but not handsome enough film. 56 In 2017, Headey appeared as a predictably hard-boiled boss in the crime thriller Thumper, which premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. 57 And provided the voiceover for Mercedes A-Class television advertisement and Morgana in Troll Hunters. Citation needed. In November 2020, Headey's production company, Peephole Productions, signed a first-look deal with Platform One Media, now Boat Rocker Studios. 58. In March 2022, Headey was set to make her feature directorial debut with thriller film Violet based on a novel of the same name by S.J.I. Holiday. 59. Advocacy. Headey in 2007. Headey supports the LGBT rights organization No 860, and in April 2015 appeared on a t-shirt designed by them and sold through Represent.com to raise funds for the cause. 61. Headey has been involved with humanitarian organization the International Rescue Committee, advocating for migrants who have been languishing in Greece during the European migrant crisis. She said that in the face of rising populism and the lost humanity in leadership, people should continue to fight for the good. 62. In 2018, Headey did a voiceover for an advertisement by the charity Alzheimer's Research UK, which launched ahead of World Alzheimer's Day, September 21st. 63. Headey supports South Africa's genocide charges against Israel. On January 12, 2024, she contributed to a video series, published by the Palestine Festival of Literature, in support of South Africa's motion against Israel's genocide in Gaza. 64. Personal life. She married musician Peter Loughran in May 2007. 65. Their son was born in 2010. 66. She has spoken about suffering from postnatal depression following his birth. 67. Headey and Loughran separated in 2011, and she filed for divorce in July 2012, which was finalized in December 2013. 65-68. On July 10, 2015, Headey gave birth to a daughter with filmmaker Dan Kidden, a childhood friend who had worked with her on his short film The Devil's Wedding. 69 they had separated by June 2019. 70 in October 2022, Headey married American actor Mark Menchaca, whom she had been dating since 2020. 71-72. Filmography. Main article, Lena Headey Filmography. Headey has appeared in over 50 films. Her most critically acclaimed and commercially successful films include The Remains of the Day, 1993, The Jungle Book, 1994, Aberdeen, 2000, The Parole Officer, 2001, Ripley's Game, 2002, The Brothers Grimm, 2005, 300, 2007, Laid to Rest, 2009, Dread, 2012, The Purge, 2013, 300, Rise of an Empire, 2014, Thumper, 2017, Fighting with My Family, 2019, and DC League of Super Pets, 2022. 73-74 Her most notable television roles include Band of Gold, 1996 to 1997, Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, 2008 to 2009, Game of Thrones, 2011 to 2019, The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, 2019, Wizards, Tales of Arcadia, 2020, Masters of the Universe, Revelation, 2021, and White House Plumbers, 2023. Dominic Gerard Francis Eagleton West, born October 15, 1969, is an English actor, director, producer, and musician. He is best known for playing Jimmy McNulty in HBO's The Wire, 2002 to 2008, Noah Soloway in Showtime's The Affair, 2014 to 2019, for which he was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, television series drama 2 Ebenezer Scrooge's Nephew Fred in A Christmas Carol, 1999, and Charles, Prince of Wales, in The Crown, 2022 to 2023, for which he was nominated for another Golden Globe Award and a Primetime Emmy Award. West made his television debut in 1998 BBC medical drama Out of Hours before appearing in the films A Christmas Carol, 28 Days with Sandra Bullock in 2000, and Nicholas Nickleby, 2001. His breakthrough came with the role of Detective Jimmy McNulty in the series The Wire. He then starred in BBC series The Hour, 2011 to 2012, earning a Golden Globe Award nomination. He received a BAFTA Award for his performance as the serial killer Fred West in the ITV drama Appropriate Adult, 2011, and a nomination for his portrayal as Richard Burton in BBC 4's Burton and Taylor, 2013. 3. He played Jean Valjean in the 2018 BBC miniseries Les Miserables. He has since starred in the Netflix series Stateless, 2020, and the Amazon Studios' The Pursuit of Love, 2021. West is currently playing the role of Dr. Chris Cox in the Sky One series Brassic, 2019, present. His film debut came with his portrayal of Henry, Earl of Richmond in Ian McKellen's adaptation of Richard III, 1995. He has since appeared in 28 Days, 2000, Chicago, 2002, Mona Lisa Smile, 2003, 300, 2007, Punisher, Warzone, 2008, Johnny English Reborn, 2011, John Carter, 2012, Pride, 2014, Testament of Youth, 2014, Money Monster, 2016, Genius, 2016, The Square, 2017, Tomb Raider, 2018, Colette, 2018, Downton Abbey, A New Era and Downton Abbey, The Grand Finale, 2025. Early life. Dominic Gerard Francis Eagleton West IV was born on 15 October 1969 in Sheffield, West Riding of Yorkshire, now South Yorkshire. He is the sixth of 7 siblings, 5 girls and 2 boys, born into a family of Irish descent. His maternal grandparents were born in Ireland, while his paternal grandmother was Irish American. 6-7 His mother, Pauline Mary, née Cleary, was an actress, and his father, Thomas George Eagleton West, owned a plastics factory. 8 He is the first cousin once removed of American politician Thomas Eagleton. A 9-10 West attended Eton College. He has been unenthusiastic about the career benefits of being an old Etonian, saying it is a stigma that is slightly above pedophile in the media in a gallery of infamy. 11 But asked whether he would consider sending his own children there, said yes, I would. It's an extraordinary place. It has the facilities and the excellence of teaching, and it will find what you're good at and nurture it. 12. Following a gap year during which he spent 4 months working as a cattle herder in Argentina, he studied English literature at Trinity College Dublin, graduating in 1993, and promoted per tradition to an Ma. 8-13 He graduated from the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in 1995. 14. Career: Film and Television. West in 2004. West's screen appearances include True Blue, Chicago, Richard III, and Mona Lisa Smile. His most notable television role has been starring in The Wire as Baltimore police detective Jimmy McNulty. West was praised for the accuracy of his character's American accent. 15-16 His debut as a director was while being on The Wire. He directed the episode Took, 2008. 17 West starred as Lysander in the 1999 film version of William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. That same year, he appeared as Fred in A Christmas Carol. In feature films, he portrayed the heavy metal guitarist Kirk Cuddy in the 2001 film Rock Star. 18 West played Fred Casely in the 2002 film Chicago. In 2006 West played the Spartan politician Theron in 300 and made a guest appearance as an actor in a sketch in The Catherine Tate Show, alongside Frankie Howard Impressionist. In 2007 he played Detective Popple in Hannibal Rising. West played the disfigured supervillain Jigsaw in the 2008 film Marvel's Punisher, Warzone. In 2010 he had a role as General Virulus in Neil Marshall's adventure thriller Centurion. 19 West starred in the UK ghost film, The Awakening. 20 West has done other work on TV and radio. He appeared in the role of Oliver Cromwell in the Channel 4 series The Devil's Whore. He also performed as Drive West, the opening track on Eminem's 2009 album Relapse, as a doctor discharging Eminem from a rehab facility. West played the part over the phone in January 2009 while Eminem was recording it in a Miami studio. 21. In December 2009, West starred as Hank in a radio adaptation of Eugene O'Neill's play The Hairy Ape for BBC Radio 3. 22 was a guest presenter on the BBC show Have I Got News For You, and ended the year alongside Joan Rivers and Sarah Jessica Parker with an appearance on Graham Norton's New Year's Eve show. 23 In 2011, West appeared as a news presenter on the BBC period drama series The Hour. He also played serial killer Fred West in the ITV 2-part series Appropriate Adult, giving a performance that the serial killer's daughter described as capturing the evil essence of Fred West, his character, his mannerisms, even his gait. 24. In 2012, West was offered the role of Mance Rayder in the HBO fantasy series Game of Thrones, but turned it down due to the amount of time he would have to spend away from his family. 25 He played gay activist Jonathan Blake in the 2014 film Pride about the 1984-1985 UK miners' strike. West starred as Noah Soloway on Showtime series The Affair, which premiered October 2014. The series was renewed for a 5th season in 2018. 18. In 2018 it was reported that West was represented by Tavistock Wood Management. 26 That year he appeared in Colette as the eponymous writer's husband, Willie. 27 In 2019, West played the role of Jean Valjean in the BBC's adaptation of Victor Hugo's novel Les Miserables. 28 Also in 2019, West appeared in Sky One series Brassic, in the recurring role of Dr.